Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are going to be talking about Operation S.U.M.M.E.R and giving you some tips and tricks on how I'm going to be doing it and hopefully helping you be able to do it as well. Now before we go into this, first of all there's been some changes for Operation S.U.M.M.E.R that we need to go through, and I was thinking about waiting for an overall thoughts on the event video, but I feel like I might do it either today or tomorrow because of some clarifications that Gaijin have given us. So the first one is the amount of tasks that you need for each tier. So for the T-34 scheme, they've actually lowered it to 8, so you basically only need to do 2 full days of tasks to be able to get the T-34 blueprint. The decals, they've increased. The T-34E skin, they've increased. The 3D decorator, they've increased. But the big one, which will be for a lot of people, is the IS-7 hull. The first component out of 2 that you need for the IS-7 has been lowered dramatically to 16. Now, the skin itself on the IS-7 is still quite high, but the thing is, the main 2 here, the T-34 scheme and the IS-7 hull, have been lowered dramatically. Thank you to Mike 10D for the information. The information is also shown on the updated version of the War Thunder websites for Operation S.U.M.M.E.R. You can basically find the information here. They just didn't tell you that they changed it. So the stuff that has been added. Hello! We have changed the number of completed tasks required for the first stage. Now you will be able to receive blueprints much faster. On average, the time spent on assembling the T-34E is similar to that for obtaining the Tiger from the event Flying Serpent Crouching Tiger. The assembly of the IS-7 will require twice as much time due to the vehicle's special value. As for the time available, you will have 10 days to complete the summer event tasks instead of 3 for Flying Serpent Crouching Tiger. Rare parts will only drop when they are required by a player for assembly. They will not drop before that time and will become more rare after the required number have been received for assembly. The chances of receiving the initial drop is fairly high. So those are the clarifications and changes that they talked about, and that gives me enough information to be able to comment on stage 2, which was the issue I was having, the actual time it would take to be able to do all of these things. So, with that said, let's get into some tips and tricks. The main thing we're going to focus on is the tasks themselves. If you want to know how the whole event works, I did a video yesterday which is explaining all of it, so we're not going to go into it here. But they have actually put into the Operation S.U.M.M.E.R thing a short list of how this is going to work. It's a little bit more complicated than this, but it will help you generally get the ideas. So we're going to talk about stage 1 first, and this is the stage in order to get the task to be able to unlock the blueprints for stage 2. So the first thing to look at is the 2 sets of tasks on either side of the ranks. So for rank 2 to 3, you have destroy 20 enemy vehicles and then win 4 battles. For rank 4 to 6, these are the vehicles that you'll be using. Get supporting fire achievement in a squad 5 times and earn the score of 2,000 or more in each of 4 battles. So the first 2, by using ground vehicles of rank 2 to 3, destroy 20 enemy vehicles and win 4 battles, you should do pretty easily. This is something you will be able to do just over time. I personally, the way I'm doing it is running around in arcade, because arcade battles are generally faster, they're normally filled with a few more kills, and because of that, by the time you get the 4 wins, you should also have the 20 enemy vehicles. With these 2 sets, you're not really focusing on one of them to go on. Normally, when we are talking about these events, what I say is you need to focus on a specific task and then go from there. With these, they're much more general. They're incredibly general. So the one to maybe focus on is win 4 battles, since that is going to take you slightly more time than getting the destroy 20 enemy vehicles. If you want to do it in RB or SB, as you can see, there is a ×2, ×3 multiplier respectively on those 20 enemy vehicles destroyed, meaning that it is very easy to do it in RB, but you'll be left in a situation where you'll still need to win battles. So once again, focusing on winning battles is probably the best way. The lineups that I've been using, the first one that I think is very good is the 5-7 lineup that the Soviets have. This is kind of full of premiums, so if you don't have the premiums, then we'll go into a non-premium standard one. So the KV220, the TV, you know what, just give me a sec, I'll show you them in game. Okay, so we're in the game now, and here is the lineups that I'll be using for the rank 2 to 3 achievement or task that you need. The first one is the Soviet lineup. So the Soviets have a really strong 5-7 lineup if you've been able to get all the gift vehicles over time. So you have the TV from the Thunder League event, the KV220 from a winter event back in the day, and the Type 65 from another event. Now, all of these are rank 3, and your highest BR is 5.7, so the worst you're going to get up tiered is into 6.7, and the TV and the KV are able to match up well into that. If you don't want to take that, there is a better lineup to actually take, and that is the T3485 D5T, the IS-1, and then either the KV85 or something else which isn't 5.7. It has to be lower, so maybe a T3457 if you feel like it. But the reason why you take 5.3s is so you don't get up-tiered into the 6.7 meta. Now, as we know, there are specific metas where a lot of people play. 7.7, 6.7, 5.7, 4.7 is a general rule that I like to go by, and also 3.3 if we get down there. But the main ones which you want to avoid is the 5.7 lineup going into the 6.7 because it's a pretty big jump. So bringing it down to 5.3s for the Soviets, you still have a really good lineup, a really good T-34, great heavy tank in the IS-1, and also, you know, a pick of whatever you want from all of rank 2 and 3. So that's always nice. And that keeps you in the rank 3. That means that you'll blast through the arcade battles or realistic battles. If you're running realistic battles, the 2 aircraft that I personally take is the P-39K1. I take the Polakrishkin's P-39N-0 and the Yak-3T, but if you don't have those premiums, then you can take the Yak-3 if you want. You can even take the P-8 if you feel like it. You can even take the Yak-3P, which is an amazing fighter of that caliber. If you don't want to take the Soviets, you can take the Germans. They have another solid rank 3, 5, 7 lineup. Ersatz or the Panther D, the Tiger or the Tiger, the VK if you have it. So you can pretty much go Tiger E, Tiger H1, Panther D if you feel like it, or Ostwind, Panther D, Tiger. Those are all great lineups. If you want to go a little bit lower, you can go to 3.7 with the Panzer IV F2, and you can add in something like, if you want the 88mm, you are up tiering it a little bit, but you can throw in the Stug 3F or the Puma, which up tiers really well as well. So there's that. And then for the Americans, I would personally say stay away from them. The reason for this is because unless you're running the Jumbo, you're going to have a rough time. A lot of people right now are running Tigers, they're running Panthers, and these vehicles are very much designed to annihilate Shermans on the battlefield, and the Jumbo is the only one that can really stand up to it if it gets up-tiered. If the Jumbo gets down-tiered, yes, it annihilates everything, but in my experiences, what happens to the Jumbo recently is that it gets way more up-tiered than it does get down-tiered, and the reason for this is a lot of people running stuff like the M18 Hellcat as well, which in realistic is 5.3, in arcade is 4.7. So if you're going to run the Americans, you have a really good 4.7 lineup you can run in arcade. If you want to run it in realistic, you can add in the CAS, but remember, the stuff that you do in airplanes does not count towards your tanks. So if you get kills in airplanes, doesn't count towards the ground forces stuff, which is what you're actually trying to go for. So it won't count as one of those 20 kills that you need. If we look at other nations, the French have a really strong rank 3 once again. The 75 Jumbo, the SA-50, which is great in an up tier. And also you'll have to throw in something which isn't the AMX-13 DCA-40. So you'll have to either throw in the CCKW or maybe the M10 or the AMX-13 FL11, whatever you're really comfortable with. If you have the Lorraine, I suppose you can throw that in as well. But overall, what you're looking at is 5.3, 4.7. I would personally say 5.3 is the better one, the Soviet line that I was talking about before. It's a really, really solid lineup. Now, if we go to the by using ground vehicles rank 4 to 6, you need supporting fires, and you need to earn 2,000. So, supporting fires. Supporting fires are an interesting bag. A lot of people dislike them. I personally dislike them as achievements because, first of all, I understand it's a good idea to force players together in squadrons, but the issue with it is that it is going against the core nature of War Thunder players. What you're supposed to do is kill things. So when you're told not to kill things for an achievement, it gets a little bit dodgy, doesn't it? But anyway, we'll go into that stuff in the next video when I do my critique of it. So you need 5 supporting fires, and you also need 2,000 points. Now, this is different to other events that we've had in the past, where you don't get a multiplier for the 2,000 points for the 4 battles. So by the way, remember, for the 4 battles that you need to win, you need 70% activity or higher. So you're going to want to take something which has a little bit of armor, which has a good gun, and be in the middle of the battle all the time. Even if it's just getting hit by artillery, or maybe just taking a sneak peek shot, just make sure you're around the area, not sniping off in the distance. But anyway, back to the score. So it isn't multiplied by RB or SB, so you need to, whatever mode you're playing in, you need to get 2,000 score. Now for me personally, there are 2 ways of doing the supporting fires. One of them is pretty simple. So you get a squad of 4 together. Also understand that if you want, or if you don't have a lot of people who play War Thunder, maybe you play solo a lot, but you want to do this event, the Discord is available. There's a lot of people right now doing the event on the Discord. They are grouping up into squads of 2, 3s, and 4s. And if you just pop into a chat room, say, hey, who's playing? Do you have any space? Let's go. Then, you know, they'll say yeah. Even if I'm around with a few people, just pop in, say, hey, do you have space? Because a lot of the time we run 3s instead of 4s. So just come and ask. You know, it doesn't cost anything or anything like that. So just come and ask. Go and, you know, get involved with the community. We're doing a giveaway right now as well of Red Orchestra, so if you want that game, you know, you can. Thank you to Rocker for donating it for the giveaway. But overall, yeah, just get involved in the Discord and you'll be able to squad up with people. So once you've worked that out, once you've got yourself the squad together, there are 2 ways of playing it. Now, the first one is to go into arcade battles. One of you gets an AA, and you just flip out and attack everything. The weapon of choice for today, and I'm sure many choices going forward, because remember it has to be rank 4 or higher, is of course the Cougar Blitz. The Cougar Blitz with its 30mm, if you just attack tanks in the front, you'll do damage to tracks, you'll get hits, so therefore when your allied squad follows up, then you'll be able to you know, you'll be able to get the supporting fire from that. You can use the Coelian. You can basically use any AA that you want. You can use the ZSU-37 if you feel like it. But the main AAs to use, in my opinion, are the American ones because they get hits more with the M19 and the M42. The German ones with the Kugel and the Coelian because they're just really, really good. And then the British ones you probably want to stay away from. The Japanese ones the same. And then with the French, you can take the AMX-13, which is very similar to the German ones, so it's really good at getting hits, and that's what you need. You need to hit the enemy to get a supporting fire. If you don't know what a supporting fire is, it's basically an assist of a squad mate. So you know when you shoot somebody and one of your teammates shoots them, you get an assist. Well, what has to happen for you to get a supporting fire is a squad mate has to shoot and kill the enemy that you have damaged. So basically, take out an AA in arcade, you know, spatter around everywhere, try and hit everything, and hope that your 3 remaining squad mates are able to take it out. The other way of doing it, you know, it really depends how you want to do it. But for me, personally, I think it's easier for the arcade method for supporting fires. But if you do want to go realistic, there's really only one way of doing it. So hunt in pairs. I was playing with a lad called James today, he's one of the moderators on the Discord. I was also playing with Mofo and a few other guys, Dog and people like that. And basically what you have to do is hunt in pairs. So even if you're in a 4 squad, you split up into groups of 2. and then you wait for one person to spot the target, and they have to be able to land a non-killing shot. Now, the way to do this is to either use a gun such as Sabo, which is not as deadly to shooting the front of tanks, more precision but less damage, so you can take out the driver gunner of something and then they can finish them. The second person can finish it off, so you get the supporting fire. Or you shoot them in something like the engine, or you shoot them in the gun breech, something like that, to immobilize them, so the second person's shot is much easier to do. But you have to make sure you're communicating with this person that, yes, there is a tank there, do you see it? Yes, you see it, okay, I'm going to shoot it in the engine, you shoot it in the engine, then the second person shoots and takes it out. Understand that to get supporting fires in this way, communication is key, and it isn't too hard to do, but it will take probably the most time out of all of them. Maybe the wins might take the most time, but it really depends on how well you're doing. So, another thing to understand with supporting fire is if you kill crew members on an enemy vehicle, then it is always guaranteed that you will get a supporting fire. If you, say, knock out an engine, but don't kill any of the enemy tank's crew, and he is able, or she is able to repair that engine and move along and repair all the parts that you hit, then it doesn't count that you've hit that person. So if you take out crew, any time in the battle, you can get a supporting fire. But if you, let's say, take out a turret ring, a cannon breech, or an engine, once those components are repaired and you haven't done any other damage to, let's say, the crew, then it won't count as an assist, so it won't count as a supporting fire. So it's always better to aim for crew members, otherwise you may be in a situation where you shoot an enemy, he's able to get behind cover, he's able to repair, and then when your friend shoots him, then you don't actually get the kill. Simple as that, really. And when it comes to what vehicles to use for that method, just anything which has a good gun on it, which is very good at one-shotting. So hoe reproduction is something that always gets brought up. T-3485 is probably one of the lower ones that you can take right here. So you can run a 5.7 lineup or something like that, or 6.3 if you feel like it. T-44-100, another machine which has got great blast on it. For the Germans, you can run 7.0s, you can run 7.7s with the Leopard. With the Americans, you can run the M103, you can run the Super Pershing, but the T-34 is probably the best bet from that. Or, something which you are comfortable with and that you can one-shot stuff with is basically what you're looking for. And then the person who is trying to get the supporting fires, then they want to take something which is a little bit more, not as damaging, but accurate. It has to be an accurate gun. So luckily, the buffs to stuff like the L7 will help with this. With the L7 buffs, it basically means that your accuracy is increased by more than half at ranges, so you can easily hit engines, you can easily hit crew members, but not do a killing blow. I know it's hard to shoot an enemy tank and not kill it, but you've got to do this for supporting fires. So as I said, aim for engine decks, aim for driver, and make sure not to knock turrets like you normally would, and that's the way to go. Make sure you don't shoot the ammunition as well. I've had a few of them. A lot of people say change to APCR or change to a worse round on a vehicle. I personally would just say just make sure you're a bit more accurate with the normal rounds, because you don't want to be left in a situation where if your teammate gets knocked out, you still want to win the battle, right? So with that said, you want to be able to still be combat effective, and if you run stuff like APCR, you're not as combat effective as you could be, so it's better just to aim really well. Simple as that. So that's how I say do supporting fires. For the score of 2000s, the easiest way to do this is get a tank once again that you're comfortable with. For me, it's something like a Conqueror or a Leopard 1 or something like a T-25 even, if you want to go a bit lower, or a T-34-85. Get 1 or 2 kills or a capture. Remember that captures give you a lot of score, it's around about 300 or 400, and understand that you're going to make more score in an aircraft than you are in a tank. So your first spawn wants to be a tank that you're comfortable with, a tank that you can easily get 1 or 2 kills, or at least a base capture. And the whole point of this vehicle is to get to a point where you are able to spawn into an aircraft. And these aircraft can range from CAS, can range from fighters, whatever you want. But the main thing you need to do with that spawn is get into an aircraft after it. It's as simple as that. So if you're able to do that, you're already miles ahead. Once you get into an aircraft, what you want to do is first of all target enemy aircraft, and the reason to do this is to make sure that you have a clear air. Don't worry about AA machines on the ground unless you're playing very high tiers such as Gepards, because of course they're incredibly accurate. But if you're playing, let's say, around 6 or 7, something like that, just focus constantly on the aircraft. You get more points from killing aircraft, so going after them will mean that you should get your 2,000 easy. If you get like 2 ground kills, spawn in an aircraft, get 2 kills with it, you should have 2,000. It's as simple as that. Don't worry too much about playing the CAS idea. Instead, just focus on killing aircraft. And once there is no aircraft, and if you don't have any bombs or rockets, then what you can do is mark targets. On the ground, if you shoot enemies, it will tell your team where they are, which obviously helps them, but on top of it, what it also does is it gives you assists, and assists give you points. Now, just remember, when it comes to the 2,000 score, the way it is known whether you've done it in a tank or not is if you're in a tank at the end of the match. So if you're in a plane at the end of the match, it won't count. So you have to get out of the plane and get back into a tank. So basically what you want to do is spawn in a tank first, get a couple of kills or a capture, then either die or J out, but generally die, and then get into an aircraft and kill a few aircraft, spot a few targets on the ground, make sure you have air superiority, and then from that point of view, you either want to crash or get killed or J out by the end of the battle, and you want to be in that third spawn in a tank by the time that you are by the time that the battle ends. Now remember, you don't have to win the battle, you don't have to lose the battle. It doesn't really matter in that regard. What only matters is you get that 2,000 points. So therefore, that's how you do it effectively. My God, sorry about that. So yeah, simple as, when it comes to the 2,000 points, hope that is understood. Now when it comes to stage 2, which is something that we'll be talking about in a few days, but stage 2, if you didn't play the Furry Tiger or the King Cobra event, basically what you have to do is just play random battles over a period of time, and what that will mean is you will get these boxes. Now at the same time, I'm not exactly sure how the res work, but it seems like when you pick a part to be able to create, you will be given the res over time through the battles at the same time. But basically you just have to play the battles. You don't have to win, you don't have to lose, you just need 50% battle activity. So you just have to turn up, do a few little things, and it doesn't matter if you do arcade or realistic. I'm not sure if there's going to be a timer on it or not, so that's something to watch out for. But generally, you will just have to play the battles. So just grinding. It's as simple as that. Pick something that you're familiar with, pick something that you're normally researching, and just go ahead and do that. It's as simple as. You don't really have to worry about anything else. If you have to worry about anything else, then it may be the amount of parts that you get, and that's it. But apart from that, yeah, that's stage 2 is easy from a playing point of view, but construction might be a bit of an interesting one. So once that's released on the 27th of July, I'll make sure to go through it with you so you can understand it and I can also understand it. Anyway, I apologize for the beeping, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.